What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today is Monday the 9th of February 2026, around 9:30 p.m. right now. Just not too long got home from work and decided that I'm going to record this video for today's price action on Nasdaq 100 or NQ. Today was a classic buy day, but the trades that I took didn't work out in my favor. So let's get right into the price action. So today was a classic buy day. Looking at the lower time frame from where we closed Friday, we kind of gapped up. Well, nice little gap up yesterday evening. Traded up before we came right back down, selling right through the gap and creating a bit of manipulation on the daily candle before we reverse, and then New York volatility basically swiped out the low, and we just rallied from there. So let me show you from the higher time frame what we did. So let me go over the executions first. So this trade I've been holding for the last about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I got stopped out on the entry from last week Thursday. I was floating about $200 profit, and then it came back up and stopped me right at break even right here. And see, we're pretty much coming back down now. Don't know if we're going to get some follow through to the downside or we're going to continue buying up. But currently, this is what we look like. Let me show you on the higher time frame. So this is what we look like on the daily time frame. So we went to the extremes of the range, lower and higher. So I had an entry here from last week around Thursday. We sold right through it, came down, and then we came right back up, and that's why it took me out right here. So currently this is the monthly open right here for the last 2 weeks. So we came down, and this looks like a decent manipulation on the monthly candle, so we could eventually break back to the upside if we go and continue higher. So this is what it looks like on the daily time frame. um, US 30 created a lower high, well, a higher low, currently breaking out to the upside even though we didn't close green. US 500 pretty much the same. One of them needs to sweep the low. I was expecting that, but we didn't actually get that. Looking now at the 4 hour time frame, this is where we open today for the daily and the weekly candle. So we traded down, traded back up, and currently we're sitting here for the new day right there. So currently we could come back down again, like we could actually roll over because we're selling now from this little order block here. So we could come down and we have this new week opening gap for the last couple weeks, but let us see what we get. US 30 still at all-time highs, still above 50,000. US 500 still trying to make its way back above all-time highs, but currently experiencing a bit of a pullback right there. So expecting that we could actually continue up. It's not far from all-time highs, and I doubt we'd come so close and not actually run it. So I'm leaning back bullish. I'm still holding the swing short. If I get any entries to go short, then I'll try to capitalize, but I'll mainly be looking for the buy. So we traded down into a few gaps. This year is becoming now crowded with gaps and things. And yeah, so let me now show you what we look like. Let me full screen this. as well and show you now what we look like on the 1 hour. So this is the 1 hour time frame. So like I said, trade it up, gap up, trade it back down, create the manipulation on the daily, and we're currently pushing right back up here. Um, on the 15 minute, there were some decent trades. The trade up, we came into this little area that you could actually call a little order block right there, little supply zone. Let's see if I can get this thing up. This was a nice little supply zone right here. This needs to be restarted. So a nice little supply zone that we traded into. I was up, but I wasn't looking for any trades during that time because I wanted to catch the buys, but I was a bit late to the party. However, we gapped up, pushed into this little level, and we started to sell off going into London. I thought we would have held in the gap. We didn't, and we just came all the way back down here by the time we got to New York. I was then leaning bearish to say maybe we're going to come up and then continue selling off to take up back the lows because I've seen that happen before. Then now when we got to New York, I saw us spike down. I was expecting us to continue down because I was bearish even though we had a rally on Friday. Still no follow through there, so when I saw price breaking up, I decided to say, you know what, maybe this thing going to go up for some buys. So I just decided to capitalize on the buys. Tried to take some entries, but they weren't the cleanest, and I got stopped out on those. Let me show you the executions. Let me show you the executions. So I tried to buy. Oh, this was from Friday. Was it? No, actually no. I tried to buy down here, which I was way too early. I moved my stop too early. This trader would have worked out pretty decent. So I had break even here. I should have re-entered and I shouldn't have put my stops below this low just yet, above the low yet. Then I tried to catch another entry here. I got stopped again, break even. I decided to close this one, but I should have just left the stops. This was right in the 9:30 area there about. We were just farming the manipulation on the 10 a.m., which wasn't much because this was the 10 a.m. open all the way down, so we barely farm a week on that 10 a.m. candle before we decided to push up, came back down. By the time we got to here, this was outside of the macro window, but this was a valid fair value gap inversion to go long, but I wasn't paying attention then. We got to 11 and we just pretty much sideways, then rallied higher. By the time we got to 12, we started to reverse. And I saw this opportunity coming into, I think I had a 5 minute zone here after we spiked down. And I saw these entries and say, you know what, I'm going to try this, put my stops below here and see. My target was really the highs here, and we did run it, but I was hoping for a little bit more because I was only floating about quarter% based on what I was risking. The lot sizes were very small, so it was negligible to me. I wasn't using magic keys on the computer. I used my phone to actually take the trades. So, like I said, it wasn't the cleanest. Had I been using the magic keys, let me show you what that would have looked like. So, had I been risking with magic keys, it would have played out a bit different. Let me show you. TP that far. Well, it actually went there, but you know, my stops I was risking like below here, at least to here. So this would have been a nice trade to capitalize on. I could have gotten half a percent there, and it was two entries, so that could have been a easy 1% trade with a quarter% risk. Increasing the risk to half a percent, then this could have easily been 2% there with both entries. So we had one entry there and another one there. So this could have been a easy 2 to 3% there. And even better entries presented themselves here, but I wasn't on the chart with the tools that I'm accustomed to. So using the phone, it's not so easy. So let me show you now the trades that we got. So this was a nice little sell coming down. You could have held this for basically the whole overnight session coming down. We had another entry inside here, another one here, and we just kept selling off. This was another entry right here, another one right here inside this macro, and another one here. These would have played out decent if we got some follow through, but if you notice the risk to reward on these, it's very big because the stop is tight and the entry is very precise. Inside the macros, we tend to get that kind of price action. So that was one right there. This was another one. This was another one inside the macro right there to continue lower. So one there, another one there, and another continuation one here. We had an inversion here, but that's not inside the macro. We had this one which was just a breakdown, continuing down, and just continue selling off. Then we had an inversion here, and then we flipped to buy. So we flipped to buy. We had an inversion. We had a change in the state of delivery. This is either a 3 minute or a 5 minute change in the state before we decided to move sideways a bit and then push up. So inversion here again this morning, and we continued higher, and this would have worked out to be a nice little trade if you TP even say 50% inside the new week opening gap. That was it for that. Then we had a bit of a sideways movement, and we got another entry inside this macro before we sold off again. And then now we had this liquidity injection right around 9:30. So this was where I took my trade, and I got stopped out prematurely, and I didn't re-enter there. I re-entered up here, and still I got stopped out because the stops were too tight. You know, inside this kind of volatile period, you can't get the tightest stops if you're not being very precise. You know, so we had another entry opportunity here, not in the macro, but still a valid one using this inversion. This was just showing us that we're not selling off today based on this like large candle after taking so long to come, so you can notice the impulses are to the upside. So we're taking long to come down, now just spike back up. That clear showing bullish intent. So we had that entry there, a retest of this breaker block here, as well as a fair value gap entry right here using the macro. So right at 11 continuation, and this would have been a nice 1 to 6 depending on how wide you set the stop. My stops would have been below here, so this would have possibly been a 1 to 5 trade. But that was it for the morning session. By the time we got to lunchtime, we sold off. Again, this little spike down was, I don't know what kind of news or what happened while we did this, but this was um, after I wasn't paying attention. So I came back here during PM and said, let me see if I get a little nice little trade for the PM session. And I did find an entry inside here. I entered a little earlier. It was all the way down here that I entered, because I was expecting us to just retest and continue higher. So I entered right there. The stops were below. I think we're below here. Stops were below the low. And I entered there, and I was targeting these highs. I should have just take the TP above here and just call it a day, but as I said, I was being hopeful and I got stopped break even all the way over here. I held the trade all the way through this consolidation right up to here, came all the way back down. So I should have just take the TP, but the size was small, and as I said, I wasn't risking much. So, you know, hoping for a little bit more, and that's what ended up happening. So that is where the day ended, because we came back down to sell off to take out here and to end the day there. I wasn't able to capitalize even on this sell, even though I mark it here, and we just ended the day here. So that is really it for today's video. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the next one. Peace.